Hey there, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Kyrah. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it's not your first time here, welcome back. We are in a new space. I am in a new space personally in life, and I'm super excited to share it with you all. On this channel, we talk about transmuting our pain into purpose, sacred beauty, living our best lives, and the journey to wellness. If that sounds like content you'd be interested in, definitely make sure to join the fam, hang out, stay a while, pull up a chair, okay? My intention for this content and this video, wherever it reaches you, is that it can be a resource to you. I pray that you're able to maybe see pieces of yourself or your experience in the video. I pray that it's something that you can take notes from and go back to and watch over and over, and just something that really resonates with your spirit. I have spent so much time, like so many of us, trying to figure out what is my niche, how do I show up, what is my this, my that, and God really had to pull me back and be like, sis, just slow down, slow it all the way down, surrender, and see what naturally opens up for yourself. One of the things I mentioned to y'all is sacred beauty. So shout out to these really fire earrings I have on from Aldo. I love them. They're like a beautiful mix match set. And then I did my press-ons. These are from Kiss. You better get with them, okay? So in this newest installment here on my channel, I wanted to be really intentional about the messages that I'm sharing with you all and the ways that I'm sharing them. There are so many things that I've experienced in my life personally that have been transformative to who I am, how I show up in the world, what I value, how I prioritize, what I consume, all that stuff. And I wanted to make sure that the space that we cultivate here is representative of that. I feel like so many people are experiencing change, right? Experiencing transformation. A lot of people have had breakdown years, but it's really a breakthrough year. I want to share a little bit about this past year of my life. I'm going to call this the divine timeout, which is actually a beautiful term that I got from Debbie Brown from one of her podcasts when she was talking about the pandemic. But I couldn't find better words to articulate what this past experience, this past year of my life has been for me, and not only what it's been for me, but who it's opened me up to become and how it's brought me back to my most authentic self. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. It's been a lot of breakdowns, meltdowns, a lot of tears, a lot of stress through this. There's been a lot of awakenings, a lot of surrender, a lot of divine downloads, right? Being brought into new things. And so let's talk about how my breakthrough, and yours too, was hidden in my breakdown year. Over the past, let me see, today's February 1st. So over the past year, give or take, life has just been like a roller coaster. Like, get me off this ride. Why do I keep running on this ride, you know? So many transformative experiences, from the spiritual transition of my mother in March of last year to transitioning out of my full-time role in the beauty tech space and in the social marketing and influencer marketing space, to moving back home, to living with family, to just being in complete, like, what is going on with my life? Like, this was not on the vision board, okay? This was not on the vision board. So oftentimes we have a vision for how we want our life to go, right? Which is super important. I think vision is critical. It helps you to understand the direction of where you're going. And when you take the time to get that vision rooted in God, rooted in the divine, you can really make some magic. But I feel like oftentimes we don't do that enough, especially in these 20-somethings. Y'all know I'm 26, so I'm definitely speaking to my ladies and my fellas in their 20s. These 20-somethings, it's like, I feel like we almost go through this experience of building a false identity, right? Whether you go to college, whether you play sports, whether you stay home, whatever your life might look like, whether you work, I feel like a lot of times we're a kid and a teenager, and then we start caring about how other people think and how they feel, and we start kind of trying to distort ourselves or modify and change ourselves to embody who we think we should be. And then you're trying to build a life off something that's not authentic to you. And I feel Like it literally all had to come crumbling down. It was painful. It was painful. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to y'all and try and make it like it was all beautified and dazzled. Like, child, it was ghetto. It was ghetto. And there was a lot of times where I was just like, what the F am I thinking? Like, what am I thinking? What am I gonna do? And trying to control and not being able to, and then being forced to surrender, especially as I mentioned with the spiritual transition of my mom, that pushed me into this space of just having to surrender it to God, because clearly, sis, you don't have no control here. So oftentimes I believe that our breakthroughs are really wrapped up in these breakdowns, because it forces the illusion of who you thought you were, like the caricature or the idealized version of yourself, to break down, break totally down, knock the whole foundation out, and then your more authentic self blossoms through. It feels like the butterfly effect, like the caterpillar bursting out of the cocoon, and it's dark and it's scary and it's uncomfortable, but you're outgrowing this space, but you don't know where you're growing into. But it is so, so, so incredibly worth it. One of the things I noticed throughout my journey is that I had this go, go, go mentality. I had this figure it out, get it done. Like, okay, this door won't open. All right, let me go to the next door, open this. Like, I had this very much like there's gotta be another way situation, like a very controlling complex. And I think a lot of that control was really breeded in scarcity and lack of stability in my own personal experience growing up, and even throughout my young adulthood, that I just felt like I gotta keep everything in my control to the best of my ability, because I can't afford for my life to fall apart. And I spent so much time trying to get a sense of control and get a sense of stability and not feel like the boat was constantly rocking in my life, that in that process, I developed, like so many of us do, developed this sense of control and this like egotistical things need to go my way. And if this way doesn't work, I have the ability to make it work this way, and just kind of trying to force stuff, like force. That actually makes me think of so many other things, like romantic situations, jobs we be trying to force, friendships that have kind of, you know, exceeded their deadline that we be trying to force. Like, I feel like we can really get caught up as a society in this concept of trying to force something. And when we look on social media, or when we look to our peers and we see so much of the conversation around manifestation and around, you know, visualizing your life and all those things, which are super, super important concepts that can't be ignored. And we'll definitely talk about those deeper in future videos. I feel like there's a distortion of people thinking manifestation means, okay, I see something and now I'm just going to knock down every door until I get it, or I'm just going to sit around and wait for it to fall out the sky. And neither one of those things are true. I believe that in this process of this breakthrough, if you will, I learned how to truly flow instead of force, which has transformed my life. Learning how to be still and surrender to where life and God is taking me. Be still enough to be like, okay, clearly my way is not working. So instead of trying to figure out how to make it work another way, maybe I just need to be still. For me, stillness looked like prayer. It looked like meditation. It looked like listening to softer music and stuff that didn't have me so riled up that I could just kind of ease into it. Watching sermons, watching motivational speeches, watching conversations online from some of my favorite spiritual teachers. But also, if we keeping it 103, being still for me also looked like being crippled by depression, being frozen from anxiety and not able to do anything, and just laid out somewhere on the couch, just like, what is life? Like, stillness for me looked like taking naps and just turning my phone off or putting my phone on do not disturb, and just being present with the things that I couldn't control. Being in my sadness, being in my despair, being in my God, like, this is really unfair. Like, I don't understand this. What is going to happen? Like, my life is falling apart. Like, don't you see me? Like, I'm struggling. Like, it was a lot of that. And I would be remiss if I just told you it was the meditation or the prayer, because I think meditation and prayer is what I was able to return to through that stillness, through those feelings of despair and sadness and grief and anger and frustration and worry. That's what got me still enough or slowed down enough, maybe even desperate enough to be like, you know what, let me return to meditation. Let me pray. Let me talk to God about this, because clearly I don't have the answers. And slowly but surely, I started to practice that art of surrendering and be able to just flow and flow. And some days I'm still trying to force, let's be very clear. I started out building a career in social marketing. I started out in the beauty tech space, right? A lot of things that I would consider nowadays very superficial, and not in a bad way, just in a way where I felt like I wasn't able to be my authentic self. And as life experiences kept happening and as life just kept lifing, it became so hard for me to authentically contribute to these spaces. But let's be clear, they were still paying the bills, okay? Let's be very clear about that. So it was this constant like rock in a hard place, because it's like, I know that this is work I don't feel called to do anymore, but the work that I do feel called to do, now that I'm opening myself up to actually receive it, it's like, how am I about to make money off this? Like, I need to provide for myself. I'm very much like, hello, like, we need money, like, you know. Money is abundance, money is energy, and that in and of itself is a whole other conversation. But I think so much of the reason why I was trying to force, especially in these 20s, is because it's like, sis, like, if it don't make dollars and cents, how is this really about to work? I know what I feel called to do, but that's gonna have to wait until after hours. And this divine time out of my life, this breakthrough, forced all of that to go away. Another thing I want to point out is that time is so sacred, and if you are given the gift and the opportunity of time to do something, to change something, to expand the way that you show up in your life and in the world, we have to take advantage of it, because you may never get this time back again. You won't get the time back again. This season of my life where I was forced to sit down, okay, instead of me doing the forcing, God was like, no, watch this. This season of my life where I was forced to surrender and I was backed into a corner by the universe, and I wasn't working full time. I took some much needed time that I wasn't trying to take to be present in my grief, which I didn't get to experience the first time around when my dad transitioned. And I didn't realize just how much I had been running from myself and how much I still had to catch up on, even though I felt like I was doing the work in my first journey through grief. This season of stillness, I was so resistant to at first, y'all. When I say I was applying for all of these jobs, like, I was still being intentional about it to the best of my ability, but I was applying for all these full-time positions in an industry that I know I don't really feel called to work in anymore, in that capacity, I should say. I was focused on the numbers. I was figuring out how I can climb this corporate ladder, which is not even authentic to who I am, which, going back to the earlier point that I made in this video, so oftentimes we get caught up in this rat race of trying to figure it out and trying to get it together and whatever and do all these things that it's like, sis, you're not even being authentic to who you are, you know? Like, you're not even operating in the abundance of all that God made you to be, because you're trying to chase a dollar and trying to chase a check and chase a crib and what people post on social media and the appearance or the facade of a life that doesn't really exist for you. I just want to encourage each of you that are receiving this video to really maximize every season that you receive in your life. All of our seasons are not go, go, go. Just like the earth goes through seasons, right? We have winter, fall, spring, summer. You're going to experience times and seasons in your life when you're meant to be still. You're going to experience times of your life where you're shedding people, you're shedding layers, you're shedding character traits. It's uncomfortable. And then you kind of go into that hibernation. We experience seasons where we outside, right? That's summertime, and you're at full bloom. And spring, when things are starting to peek back through. One of the biggest things is learning and understanding what season you are in and how to hold space and be in flow in that season instead of trying to force something that's not in alignment with where you're at in your life right now. Through this breakthrough year, I have been able to come into awareness about so many things about myself that almost like inner child work, right? So many things that I either naturally gravitated towards as a child or were a part of my divine being and my natural essence that I wasn't aware of because I was just on go, go, go mode. And it's been such a beautiful experience. It's been so beautiful being able to be still and just allow things to flow through me, that I'm able to receive things that were there the whole time that I just couldn't necessarily see. Even as I was telling y'all about nature, I'm a fall baby. My birthday is October 31st on Halloween. And when I tell y'all, this past fall was the first time in my life that I was still enough to observe the way that the leaves change colors and be in awe of it. Like, Mother Earth is so incredibly beautiful. Seeing the way that the leaves change colors and they're so robust, and there's all these shades of reds and oranges and yellows, and just how these trees who went from having green leaves start to change and almost age, if you will, like almost go through that transformation process, and then they begin to fall, was so symbolic to me for the season that I was at in my life. And I feel like so much of the seasons we see externally in nature, we can definitely resonate with within ourselves. One of the biggest things I was able to come into awareness about through this breakthrough is just how important wellness and sharing the message of wellness, sharing actual practices of wellness is for me, right? I've gone through a deep healing journey, and I know so many of us are healing from so many things. And being able to become a student of wellness, of natural medicine, right, of natural alternatives, a student of myself and a student of growth and healing and all the things, I have become so inspired to want to share that with people. And even if you look back at my channel, you'll see there's such a thread of, natural remedies like womb wellness tips, right? Or plant-based foods I'm loving, and smoothies and skincare and everything. Just fully honing into my calling in the self-care and wellness space, the healing and sacred wellness space. I feel like I've been opened up to it in a new way, and I've been opened up to beautiful ways to incorporate the things that I do love and that are authentic to me into the evolving woman that I am and into my journey. And I pray that for each of you watching this video, as you're coming into awareness about things you may have really enjoyed doing, or areas that you feel called to grow into, and areas that you may feel called to kind of grow out of, I really pray for each of you that you're able to take one small step every day towards it. Debbie Brown, who is one of my favorite spiritual teachers, she speaks a lot about embodiment and not expecting ourselves to have this overnight transformation. Allow yourself time to process. Allow yourself time to take it bit by bit and embody it, digest it before you kind of move on to, okay, boom, I'm healed. Like, next thing, next caller. Like, slow down, sis. So yeah, my prayer is that for each of you, if you're going through a breakdown season, if you've been in a breakdown season, if you know somebody, if one of your loved ones may be going through one of these breakthroughs, right? It's really not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. And changing your wording on that is so important. But if you're in a season of transition and you don't know where life is taking you, you're outgrowing who you were, and it feels scary and nerve-wracking, you feel like you have no control, you are exactly where you need to be. Surrender to the unknown. Hold space for who you are and who you're evolving into, and love on the person that you might be outgrowing. Love on them, whether that's you and character traits of yourself, whether that's environments and friendships and relationships and jobs. Honor it with love and know that these places and spaces have held space for you in your life. And just because you're outgrowing them doesn't mean that it has to be animosity or some sort of energy towards the space that you're no longer in while you're in that in between. Before we wrap, I would love to give you all some offerings that you can take with you to incorporate into your lifestyle wherever you go. Mind, body, soul, holistic, natural wellness is what I'm all about. And so I want to give you a little offering for each of the parts of yourself to really practice, to hopefully help you as you're going through this season of transition or as you're experiencing your own divine breakthrough. So first, for our mind, I want to encourage everybody to practice the art of breathing. A good full body breath. Doing a good 3 of those will help center you in tremendous ways, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, your mind is racing, overactive thoughts, stress, anything, anger. Just kind of get back into your body. Breathing is a great way to really help us get there. You can practice a box breath. You can just kind of hold yourself. That's what I love to do, kind of just put my hands on my body, especially when I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, and just breathe. So beautiful. For our body, get outside, child. Go outside, like get some fresh air, be in the elements, allow the air to cleanse you, allow nature to transform you. Go for a walk, just observe what you see around you. Move your body, maybe dance, maybe flow, but get outside and get some movement in your body. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be structured. It doesn't have to be 15 reps of this at the gym and 15 reps of that. Maybe that's your path, but maybe it's not. It can be anything. Just get that movement and allow the blood and oxygen to flow in your body, and it will really help you feel like you're coming back into your body, and just kind of start that practice for you. And then for our soul work, we love a good soul work. Journaling is so incredibly important, especially in a season of breakthrough. Journal about the frustrations you're experiencing. Journal about the sadness, the despair. Your journal is your safe space to be able to articulate anything and everything. So you can journal about what you're loving. You can journal about what you're hating. You can journal to yourself, write notes to God, whatever resonates for you. Just do it freely. There's so many beautiful prompts you can find online about journaling. But I found that especially in this season of just like what is going on with my life, journaling and writing down how I felt, especially when I was feeling very shitty, and then holding space for that and sitting in that sadness and then releasing it was really important. It allowed me to get it out. I don't want to say sitting in that sadness, but feeling and embodying it. It allowed me to get out the things that I was feeling, and it helped it to not be something that I was carrying around with me every day. And so I definitely encourage you, if you're not already, to journal, and don't be afraid of what you're writing down or afraid of judgment. This is your own safe space for you to commune with yourself and with the divine. And so you deserve it. Take up space and enjoy the journey. It's a beautiful journey, and every day we have new opportunities to grow and evolve, that we continue to wake up. And so figuring out how we can maximize this gift of life is just so incredibly important. I pray that this video resonated with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something beautiful out of it. Definitely drop me a comment down below if you're going through your own breakthrough season, or share some of the techniques and tips that have been helping you along your journey that may be able to also inspire others in the community. Let's just pour into each other and love on each other here. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.